Welcome back to AM Northwest. It's the new movie that unveils the decisive moment that forever changed media coverage and continues to impact live news today. September 5 is set during the 1972 Munich Summer Olympics and follows the ABC sports broadcasting team, who quickly shifted from covering the games to reporting on the Israeli athletes taken hostage.
What the hell are you guys doing?
We're gonna get a live shot of the apartment. Get the viewers right into the action.
Who are the hostages?
Bader he confirmed that one of them died.
Marsha Weinberg, I read The Wire, but who's inside that apartment?
We don't know yet.
Then we find out. Who are they? What's their background? Do they have a family? There's no point in aiming this thing at the building if the viewer doesn't know the people inside.
We welcome the film's director, Tim Fehlbaum. Tim, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. This was an incredible time in history. Amazing. What was it about this true story that led you to say, I want to direct, I want to write this?
Well, it was a conversation that we had in research with the person who really experienced it, the person portrayed in our film so wonderfully by John Magaro, Jeffrey Mason. And Jeffrey Mason was working as a young rookie back then for ABC Sports, and he experienced live on how they, as a group of sports broadcasters, made that switch, right, from reporting on the Olympics to reporting on that crisis, and listening to his stories and how he experienced that 22-hour marathon of broadcasting, what challenges they faced. For example, that at a certain point the police came in to tell them to turn off the cameras. That was so interesting and inspiring to hear, that we afterwards said, like, maybe we can tell the story entirely from the perspective of that sports broadcast control room.
And you did it all in one space, and it felt claustrophobic, and that was an intentional part. You wanted to do that intentionally.
100%. Yeah, I mean, you have been to a lot of control rooms, so
yes.
You know that it's like a parallel world, and it can feel very claustrophobic. And it was like a long time that they spent like this. I have the highest respect of that crew, how they made that switch, right? And but it was in that tight place, and it felt claustrophobic, and that's what it should feel for the audience.
Also, all the equipment was authentic.
Oh yes. We were lucky enough that via Jeffrey Mason and via a lot of sources that we had access to the original blueprints. We saw a lot of photos and how that studio looked like. And based on that, we tried to recreate it as accurately as possible. And on top of that, these devices should work, because I wanted that the cast can actually interact with these props. You know, often in movie sets, it's like fake, it doesn't really work. But I wanted, since this is a movie about people in their working environment, whatever they do for work, dealing with these technological apparatus, that should be accurate and happen in reality in front of the camera. And also I want to add that maybe our film is also about how technology has an influence on the media, and in that way has an influence on how we perceive world political events. So yeah, it was important for us that it was accurate.
There are still so many questions that were asked on that day that we still have to ask ourselves today. I mean, over 50 years ago, and it's still so relevant today, don't you think?
100%. By now, I've talked to a lot of people that have seen it, that are working in today's news or TV room. So, I mean, I'm sure maybe you can also confirm. They said to me, like, for them, it was striking to see, while obviously technology has changed, a lot of these bigger questions are still exactly the same that are discussed today, like how like wording, what words do we use for certain situations, how fast do we go out with the news, and also censorship. What do we show? What maybe we don't want our viewers to see? So all these important ethical questions.
How important was it to have the real Jeffrey Mason there?
It was crucial. I mean, without him, the film wouldn't exist. And of course, that was one of the most things that made us proud, is when he saw the movie finally for the first time and said that was like he felt transported back in time. It felt so accurate. And he was a really big advisor, also emotionally, how he experienced it, but also from when script writing, he helped us with the dialogues. For example, he told us that they called the satellite the bird, but it makes sense because back then there were not so many satellites in the orbit, so it was the bird. But what also was equally as important for the movie is that we got the real Jim McCain. You know, the footage of Jim
Yes.
McCain. And he had this very unique way of how he reported on that day to the audience. And to recreate that with an actor would have been tough. And for us, it was important to have the original.
Yeah, it's excellent. We want to tell our viewers September 5 is rated R and it opens in theaters this Friday. Tim, thank you so very much.
Thank you. I'm glad we could have this anyway.
Me too, me too. We'll be right back with more AM Northwest. Don't go away.